Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Janelle and today I am going to be teaching you how to make a crocheted ball. So if you're wanting to learn how to make crocheted toys, which are also known as amigurumi, one of the basic techniques that you're going to have to learn how to do is to make a crocheted ball, since that's quite often what is used to make the head, as well as an elongated version for the body. Especially if you're just starting out with amigurumi and you're making smaller toys, because they are more simple shapes, you are often just using either a ball or an elongated or modified ball for the different parts. So a ball is actually fairly simple to make as long as you are familiar with some basic crochet techniques. So all you need to know how to do to make a ball is the magic circle technique, single crochet, increase, and decrease. And if you're not familiar with all of these techniques, I do have video tutorials on the channel for all of these, and I will link those down in the description below. So if you're all ready to go, let's get into the tutorial. So to start out, I'm going to do a magic circle with 6 single crochet. And then to make the dome shape that we need for the top part of the ball, what I'm going to do is add an additional 6 stitches for every row. So since we started out with 6 stitches, I am going to increase in each stitch around so that we end up with 12 stitches for the second row. And then for row 3, again, we're going to add another 6 stitches. So for this row, we're going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase, and then just repeat that pattern around. So 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. So you'll end up with 18 stitches by the end of the row. So then for row 4, we're going to do 2 single crochet and then an increase, and then you're going to repeat that around until you have 24 stitches. So that's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then in the third stitch you'll do 2 single crochet and then repeat. So row 5 then is going to be 3 single crochet and then an increase. And then just repeat that around until you have 30 stitches. And you can see at this point that the edges are kind of curling up. So I'm just going to shape it a bit so it forms more of a dome. So I'm just going to do 1 more increase row. So for row 6, we're going to do 4 single crochet and then an increase, and we're going to end up with 36 stitches in this row. So that's my last increase row. However, if you wanted to make a larger ball, you can keep going with the increase rows, following that same pattern. So if you wanted to do a 7th row of increase, you would just single crochet 5 and then increase around. Row 8 would then be 6 single crochet and then an increase, etc., etc. So from here we're going to do 6 rows just of regular single crochet, so we're not doing any more increases. So the next 6 rows will all be 36 stitches. However, if you are going to make your ball larger and you're doing more increase rows, I would add an additional row in this middle section for every additional increase row that you've added. So we're doing 6 rows of single crochet because we have done 6 increase rows. But if you did say 8 increase rows, then I would do 8 rows then for the middle section. So now I'm going to just do my 6 rows of 36 stitches. So I finished my 6 rows. I've now got this little bowl shape. So now I'm going to start into my decrease rows, and I'm essentially going to just work backwards from my increase rows. So I'm going to go from 36 down to 30 stitches. So to do that, I'm going to do 4 single crochet and then a decrease, repeating around again until I hit 30 stitches. So that's just 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet, and then 1 decrease, and repeat around. And then again for each decreased row, we're going to decrease by 6 stitches. So the next row is going to be 3 single crochet and then a decrease around to get to 24 stitches. The next row is 2 single crochet and decrease for a total number of 18 stitches. And then we'll do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease around to bring us down to 12 stitches. And at this point, I am going to take a little break from stitching and I will add stuffing to my ball. Then once you have it fairly well stuffed, you can do the last row. So we're going from 12 stitches down to 6, which is the number of stitches we started with. So this is going to be our last row. So I'm just going to do decreases all the way around. So I'm down to 6 stitches and I'm just going to cut the end of my yarn, leaving a bit of a tail so that I can weave it through my stitches. And then I've just got a needle here. So I'm going to thread the end of my yarn onto my needle and I'm just going to bring it through the loop to secure it. And then I'm just going to go around through each of my stitches, just from the outside to the inside. And then I'll just pull this tight to to close up the gap in the center. And then from there you can just tie a knot to secure the end of your yarn. If you need to, before you close up the gap, you can add a little bit more stuffing as well. And then just to hide the end, you can run your needle through your project. Pull the yarn tight and then snip it off. And then the end of your yarn is secure inside the project. So that's the final ball. So the version of the pattern that I used is sort of a simplified version. So because I'm adding increases at the same spot in each row, it ends up forming kind of a hexagon, so you can see sort of where each side is. And there are patterns that have the increased stitches offset so that it does form more of a spiral rather than a hexagon shape. But if you're an absolute beginner at doing amigurumi, I would suggest using this pattern because it's more consistent and easier to follow, easier to keep track of your stitches. So again, if you're wanting to make the ball smaller or larger, you're just going to need to adjust the number of rows. So for example, if you wanted to make it smaller, you could stop increases after row 4 and then just do 4 rows of 24 stitches and then decrease from there. If you wanted to make it larger, you could then add a couple of increase rows and then a couple of rows of just straight single crochet. Just make sure that the number of rows of straight single crochet that you're doing are the same number of rows as increase rows. So you can essentially think of it as having 3 equal sections. So you're going to have the same number of rows of increases, straight rows, and then decreases. So for mine, I had 6 increase rows, 6 rows of just straight single crochet, and then 6 rows of decreases. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. If it was, please give the video a like and make sure that you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss future crochet tutorials. And please leave me a comment letting me know what project you're working on. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye.